Welcome, Amy Cook and Selena. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks, Julia. How are you doing?
Great.
Hey, Justin. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for having us.
It's our pleasure. Super excited about this demo, AI-powered RevOps. Amy Cook is the co-founder and CMO who's built the ultimate AI platform for go-to-market. And yeah, Amy, we are super excited to dive into this. We can start with a demo and then transition to a dynamic Q&A.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you. I have a couple of slides to show, and then Selena on my team, who is our enterprise go-to-market strategist, will be doing the actual demo, if that's okay. Does that work all
Yeah,
right?
perfect.
Okay,
Awesome.
awesome. No, it's perfect timing because I really liked what Kevin said on the earlier webinar about go-to-market strategy and having empathy for your customer. And, I consider myself not the chief marketing officer, but the chief problem-solving officer. And I think if you kind of keep it in mind where we're just here to help, help people solve their pain, their revenue pain, that is actually the reason that we exist at Fullcast. And so it was really nice to hear. I loved it. So. All right, well, I'm gonna pull up my slideshow here. Is this showing okay? Okay, awesome. I love it. All right. Well, today I'm going to focus on one aspect of go-to-market strategy, and it's something that is a huge pain point for a lot of people right now, which is planning, annual planning, getting your territories carved, making sure your salespeople feel like things are equal and equitable and they can make their number. And Selena, right? Like that is super important to a salesperson, right? Yes. And so, unfortunately, a lot of companies are not doing this well. So last year, 91% of organizations missed their quota. That is so bad. That's like a 9% success rate. That is like the worst F of all Fs. 58% of sales reps missed quota in Q3 last year, also in Q4 last year, also an F. And 35% of salespeople leave in any given year. So when you've got all of your salespeople leaving because they can't hit their quotas, you've got the organizations losing money because they can't hit their revenue numbers, you've got a big problem to solve, right? And then they're leaving. So one of the problems is companies are taking too long to set territories. 45% of them are late. 55% success rate, it's an F. Territory decisions, they need to be data driven in order for us to be successful, in order for us to make the funnel work, the flow work, the go-to-market strategy work. If you can estimate your market potential correctly, 81% of the companies who do that, they meet their goals. And 31% meet their goals if they do not accurately estimate their potential. So we're talking about your TAM, SAM, SOM. We're talking about being able to set your quotas correctly and being able to understand what kind of revenue can flow from that. So we have a little secret sauce here at Fullcast, and this is Bala Bala Bhaskaran. And he's our CTO. He led the first effort to automate planning and operations at Salesforce. It was the first time Salesforce had been on time and on budget for this. They used 1,500 spreadsheets, a team of 100 people, and it took them 6 months. And so finally he threw his hands in the air and he's like, I just can't do this anymore. I've got to do something that can solve my problem. And so he left and he built Fullcast. And this product stems from a real pain and a real need in the market. Now I'm excited to introduce you to Selena. So Selena, she's an enterprise go-to-market strategist. She is a graduate of the Terry College of Business, and she's spent 5 years bringing Salesforce solutions to market very, very successfully. Has a very good understanding of how to just solve pain for people, how to be creative and solve challenges that people are having. So I'm going to turn the time over now to Selena. Then we have a few slides to share afterwards.
Thank you, Amy. Well, good to be here. Good to see all these other amazing demos, and we're excited to share a little bit more about Fullcast. To Amy's points, I mean, AI has really been so interesting to see where are there gaps, where are there more manual redundancies in your revenue processes, and how can AI help solve them? And when you look at go to market, you're seeing your internal resources like your sellers, your CSMs, people that help keep the revenue coming in. And you're looking at your total addressable market, right? All these accounts that you're able to sell to. We've seen a lot of interesting demos. The one just before this about defining ICP and making sure you're hitting the right people. And there's so much there. It's really the foundation of driving revenue at your business. And I love Fullcast and joined Fullcast because we're looking at a super manual process. Most companies are running revenue out of spreadsheets and having thousands of versions of spreadsheets that say, here's our territory plan for the year. But then you add a new product line, or 3 people leave the team, or you promote some people, and now that plan is stale. It no longer applies, and now you get a new version. And RevOps teams are spending 6+ months doing this every single year. And it's really been so cool to see how Fullcast steps in, leverages AI to make sure teams not only have a more efficient strategic RevOps team focused on the future, but also to make sure that you have the right resources in place to drive revenue consistently and stay aligned to that plan and hit your numbers no matter what changes in headcount, data, product lines, etc. So I want to show a little bit about Fullcast here, drive some visuals to what we're talking about. And I am sharing my Fullcast screen. Everyone can see that? Okay, great. So what we're doing here at Fullcast is really helping organize and drive enhancements to your go-to-market. So everybody typically segments their business in a different way. You'll see over here on the left-hand side of the screen, and we're focusing on the territory management for today's call. And some folks do it similar to this, where they've got different global regions, and then within those regions, they've got different segments, whether they're industry-based or company size-based, or maybe a unique way that you categorize it. With Fullcast, we want you to be able to really break that down and digest it at each level. And it all is hierarchical, rolling up to the all companies level. So as a RevOps leader, if I'm just curious, like what's happening across the board in our total addressable market, I can click at the all companies level, see the number of accounts we're working with, see the bookings potential at the global level, and see all the accounts that land in our addressable market. So all of this data is coming from Salesforce. We're a Salesforce managed package, and we're not only showing you what's in Salesforce right now, we're actually highlighting your data in a storytelling fashion up at the top. So we've got these metrics here saying, here's a story about your data using your data. So typically these are built through like formulas to tell us, here are the tier A accounts. A formula behind this might be a combination of, what are the ABMs telling us? Is this a high buying signal? Is there a certain number of employees or a certain industry that would indicate success for us? So we can get really crafty with these, everybody's look a little bit different. But the key is that you should be able to come in and see, what are my different territories, my different segments? In America, for example, what's happening across the board? What about in America Enterprise? And what about within each of the 5 America Enterprise territories? And who covers these territories today? Who's actually assigned to this territory? And you can quickly start to see things like, well, we've got multiple revenue people, client-facing people assigned to Enterprise 1 here, for example. So we've got Dory as RVP overseeing this, and that's ending in 10 days, his coverage of this territory. We have an account manager, sales engineer, account executive, SDR. So really giving you one place to manage who's covering these different territories and how can we optimize these to perform at our best. And so where the AI really comes in is, again, that really manual process at the beginning of each year where you're carving territories, you're trying to decide, how do we maximize coverage, maximize efficiency in our addressable market? And not only that, Fullcast is not just a planning tool, it's an execution tool, right? And that's where the AI really comes in powerful, where you set the plan, it looks great. A month later, some data on the accounts is changing that would change what territory they should be in. Headcount is changing, you're hiring more, you're promoting people, leaders are changing. There's so much that goes on that causes you to drift from your plan. And Fullcast does an amazing job of leveraging AI to say, here's what you need to do to stay aligned to that plan. Things have changed, and you'll start to see these yellow dots emerging saying, hey, this is the proposed state we're making for you. You can compare that to the current state by looking at the current state, or you can actually just jump into the difference and see that, hey, based on the logic you've given Fullcast, our AI is telling you that these 3 accounts need to move from the Enterprise 1 territory to Enterprise 2, 5, and 3. So that's really where we want to take work off the RevOps team's plate and say, we understand your logic behind how you're carving territories and keeping things balanced and equitable across your sales team. And we want to help you maintain that throughout the year. So perhaps some data changed on United Courier's account. And now we don't want the RevOps team to have to go figure that out on their own or spend time digging around through data to see what changes we need to make to ensure that our enterprise territories are balanced and fair. Fullcast is doing that for you. And I'm going to show you how. We're going to jump into a quick carving exercise here. So Smart Plan is a fan favorite, one of our AI components. And I will just summarize real quick that in our platform, we have 2 main areas of AI. The first is what I'm showing you here, this planning and execution piece, right? So we're helping you build the best plans based on your own business conditions. We also have Copilot AI, which allows teams to deploy the plan and automate keeping the execution environment aligned to that plan based on GTM policies. And we're also working on agentic AI capabilities based on language models, which would unlock a whole layer of productivity and efficiency for revenue leaders. But for today's purposes, we're going to focus on that first one I mentioned, the Smart Plan. So what I would do in here is I would come in and say, I need in Enterprise America 5 territories. You can even cap the number of accounts that go into each territory. And now what you're doing is you're transferring your logic over to Fullcast. And you're saying, hey, when I come into carved territories, the first thing I want to think about is minimizing disruption, right? I don't want to change account ownership for accounts that are maybe in an active sales cycle right now. Or maybe they're more strategic accounts tied to strategic reps, and we don't want to change that ownership. So first and foremost, let's set the criteria to not disrupt any actively engaged accounts. So you might come in here and say, hey, if there's opportunities assigned or associated to these accounts that are in a certain stage or later, don't change the ownership of them. Maybe if there's activity on the opportunity associated to the account in the last 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, we don't want to change ownership of the account. So we really take into account that our AI logic here is not messing with active opportunities. The second piece of the balancing criteria here in Smart Plan is going to say, how do you want us to balance these accounts? So if we're looking at America Enterprise and we've got 5 reps, we need 5 territories. We do not want any one of these 5 reps to have more high quality accounts than another rep, right? We want to make sure it's balanced, it's equitable. We want to retain our enterprise AEs and make sure that they're all equally set up to hit their quotas. So we could come in here and say, we want to make sure that each one of these 5 enterprise reps has an equal number of tier A accounts. And maybe we want to make sure that the employee count there is, for all of them, they have an even number of accounts with over 1,000 employees. So that's what this would look like. And you can build as many conditions as you like to ensure that among these 5 territories, all of them have an even number of high quality accounts or whatever type of logic suits your business there. Lastly, we want to balance by metrics. I showed you those earlier when we were looking at the accounts page. They're basically stories that we're telling you with your own data. So some common examples we see, again, these are very customizable and look different for all of our customers. You might have your average sales cycle, tier A accounts, bookings potential, some white space metrics. And maybe you want to make sure that you evenly balance out those important metrics across the 5 territories so that, again, they're even, they're balanced, and you have proper coverage of all these high quality accounts. We even go so far as to help you with your corporate family automation. How do you want us to treat corporate families? What if in 3 months, one of your accounts becomes part of another corporate family? They're acquired, right? Should that child account now be part of the parent account's territory? Do they not need to be treated the same? Do they only need to be treated as the same territory if they meet a certain criteria? A common example we see there is, hey, if the parent account and the child accounts are based in the same country, let's keep them in the same territory owned by the same rep. but maybe if they're in different countries, we don't need to treat them as the same territory. So we can automate all of this and ingest your logic, and our AI component here, Smart Plan, is going to ingest all of this and give you the most properly balanced set of territories as possible. So let's go back into the proposed state here and look at the balancer. So now that we've told Smart Plan what to do, it's going and taking our Salesforce set of accounts, applying it using that logic to the different territories, and giving us very balanced set of accounts across the different territories. And you can even use a balancer to say, hey, I want to make sure that all 5 of my enterprise territories have an even number of tier A accounts and an even number of bookings potential. And you can start to look at it visually and understand that you're on track. Everybody on the enterprise side has a fair shot at hitting their quota with an even number of high quality accounts in their name. And what's great about this is not only are you getting balance, but you're ensuring that your addressable market is being properly covered every single day. So where we see the time suck start to happen is that RevOps teams have to do that exercise on their own manually in spreadsheets or in certain, ERP platforms where they're custom developing models that takes months and months. And Fullcast is essentially doing what would take weeks and weeks in spreadsheets, takes it like 20 minutes to spit out the right balance of accounts and territories here. And not only is it helping you with the initial plan, like I said earlier, you're going to start seeing dots emerge that say, hey, based on the logic you've input here, things are starting to change. Data's changing, headcount's changing, and we think that you need to make a change. There's a difference we're proposing here, and it's very easy for you to review that difference, why that's being proposed, and confirm the changes, and we are taking care of updating Salesforce ownership for you. So we're saving RevOps months and weeks of time with this AI. We're saving rep attrition. We're decreasing rep attrition overall with this AI, making sure that everyone has a fair and equal shot at hitting their quota. And we're helping you future-proof your go-to-market by saying, we understand with our AI, we understand your logic behind go-to-market, and we're going to help you keep aligned with that year-round. So I want to stop here, save some time for questions, but thank you
I
all
love
for
it, Selena. I'm sold. Where can I get Fullcast?
I know, right? Ask Amy.
That's great. Julia, Justin, thanks for having us. I don't know whether our audio will allow this, but we've got a really fun video about which is faster, Smart Plan or mac and cheese? Making
Let's
mac
do
and
it.
cheese. Should I share it and see if you can hear the video?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, let's see if we can hear it. Here's my screen. Which is faster? Guys, what do you think? Can you hear the music?
Nope. I
Nope.
think, Amy, when you share yours, if you can reshare this, there should be an option to share sound within Zoom.
Oh, I got it. Yes, yes, yes.
Awesome.
Okay. Good.
Yep.
Here we go.
Let's full screen it, Amy.
Why not? Right? So you saw a lot of our RevOps person making mac and cheese, playing cards, talking on her phone. And that is all to say that we can make this real easy for people to do their jobs.
The full package,
Mm,
Amy and Selena, thank you so much. Let's address some of the questions from the
great.
audience here. And the first one, can Fullcast update sales plans in real time from Salesforce?
1,000,000%. That's actually one of our four main differentiators where we do it better than anybody else, where we have an automatic sync. It's a managed package in Salesforce, and we were able to pull and leverage any kind of data, and we can do it automatically. And what's great about it too is Selena focused on the smart planning, but we also have Copilot AI, which is an AI management, Salesforce policy management tool to be able to make those adjustments based on rules in Salesforce.
People are loving the video. Can leaders test what if scenarios within your platform?
Absolutely. That's one of our best things. In fact, one of our users is so excited about it because he's gone. I don't know if some of the people on this call have had the experience where either as a RevOps or a sales leader, there's a lot of conflict because like the RevOps people create the territories in a silo, and then the sales team says, "Wait, this isn't right." Well, we already did it in Salesforce. Sorry, we can't go back. No, you have to go back. This is completely wrong, and it takes weeks to undo something, right? So what we've created scenarios so you don't ever have that problem. So you can say, "Hey, RevOps says, hey, sales leader, hey, CRO, these are the scenarios A, B, C. Which one do you want?" And you can go through it before any decisions are made, and it really strengthens the negotiation and communication process there.
Yeah, we see it a lot as well when teams are thinking to maybe change how they verticalize their go-to-market, or maybe they're thinking about adding new product lines and they want to know how that's going to impact territories, quotas, revenue attainment. And so you can actually model everything out, and if it looks good, you can collaborate on it with other teams. Then you make it live in Salesforce, but you have the full capability to try out different what if scenarios and then commit to one if it looks good to you.
Question from Sandra here. Is the Copilot AI that was mentioned the Microsoft Copilot product?
No, we are thinking of renaming it because it's a different product, but we created it first, I will say. So it's different. It's specific to Fullcast and territory management based on Salesforce policies.
Next question. How does it handle permissions and data security?
We are SOC 2 compliant. Everything is permissions based. So some of the largest enterprises work with us because of that.
Yeah, and it's very commonplace to see the RevOps team taking ownership of what are the final decisions that push ownership to Salesforce. And so we see a lot of companies have their whole sales leadership team have access to the Fullcast platform, but with certain permissions that say if you're proposing a change or that an account be changed from one territory to another, or whatever you're proposing, it does need to go to the RevOps team first, and they would be the ones to make a final commitment on that proposal. So permissions can look different for the sales reps themselves, the sales leaders, the RevOps team, but that just allows us to have a more comprehensive platform with more users in it.
And your API handle deep integrations with other tools?
Yes, absolutely. We can do custom integrations. We can do CSV uploads. We can do direct syncs. We have the Salesforce managed package like we discussed.
What key metrics does Fullcast highlight in its reports? You kind of
Let
show
me
this,
give,
but
let me give you an example. This is one of my favorite parts about the platform because we can leverage any metric. In fact, we have an enterprise, a very, very large healthcare enterprise that we are finishing an implementation with right now, where we are leaning in on CPT codes as a way to measure TAM. And so if it's in Salesforce, we can do it.
Beautiful. Next one. What's the logic behind its forecasting and resource tools?
I would like to schedule a meeting with Bala and you to talk about all of the deep dive on the technical capabilities because I don't know. But Selena, do you want to comment on this?
Yeah, we're typically not competing with like forecasting tools that are going to be more opportunity based. However, we complement them and drive their success quite a bit because what we're doing is essentially outlining the progress to plan in each of your territories. So it's combining all the work on all the accounts within a certain territory, which would really complement the opportunity based forecasting you might be doing today. So we have really cool reports, dashboards that you can build. Essentially, it's letting you know what is your goal here, what's the progress to plan. You get to pick the metrics that would define that, whether it be revenue booked or closed won or whatever you're tracking in Salesforce. The key is that we would need to be able to pull the data from the account level or something related to the account, like an opportunity or a case or something of that sort.
That makes sense, what you said exactly. And I wanted to lean in on that a little bit as another one of our key differentiators, because most people, when they do their territory planning, are not tracking that performance to plan like Selena talked about. And that is something that we do better than anyone else. It allows people to actually use what they created in 6 months. And you can put in allocations like TBHs and other types of what if scenarios as placeholders as well. So that performance to plan is another one of those key differentiators.
Amy and Selena, people are asking about some success stories and some actually challenges that Fullcast face working with large orgs.
It's a great question. So we are built to work with large orgs. We can work with smaller orgs as well. But one of the things that we have really leaned on well is security and compliance. We are all very experienced in working with large orgs. For me, myself, I've worked with Salesforce and AWS and many, many large ones for many, many years. So there is no limited number of stakeholders that we need to work with. We can work with anyone, and we are built from a product perspective to handle large organizations.
Yeah. And I will say that because we're built for the enterprise, right? If you're carving for like 10, 20 people, you're probably not having the worst time in spreadsheets, but it's really when you hit that larger threshold of reps. And, our founder built this at Salesforce. So there was definitely from the get-go intended for larger teams. I would say something that we do see is, changeover and the person that's the administrator for Fullcast at the company leaving has often posed just a challenge of how do we educate somebody new on the platform. And that is something on our roadmap as well on the AI side is self-learning so that you're able to just put anyone in the Fullcast platform and we would have an AI agent there helping them learn the platform and catch up. So that's something else exciting to look for on the AI side for us.
We are about to transition to Amanda Kello from One Mind, but one last question from Jeremy here. Does the outlook take into account smaller territories that have a higher density of large deal sizes or higher density of deals in general? Like, would it intuitively know based on historic CRM data to split New York City between 3 to 4 reps versus giving the whole state to one rep randomly? Another
100%.
angle.
Yeah, we're built for that exact use case.
Yes. The answer is yes. And that's what we see a lot. There's usually buckets for more strategic territories. We often see New York, San Francisco, Florida getting carved up into, a different mechanism than other states just because of the propensity of accounts. We also have a heat map. So if you're not really sure where the majority of business lands in the country or in your addressable market, you can overlay metrics on a map and figure that out. So absolutely.
Amazing. Thank you again, Amy and
Thank you.
Selena.
Thank
Where
you.
should our users go?
Go to Fullcast. I will give you my email address is Amy, AMY, at fullcast.com. And Selena and I would love to jump on and do a customized demo for you. No obligation. I'm going to also give you my cell phone if you want to text me. It's 949-813-0182.
Never happened in 4 years.
I'm trying it out to see if people actually take me up on it, so I can respond. Justin, send me a text so I can say somebody did it. All right, thank you so much.